Welcome to From Hobbyist to Artisan, Avoiding Beginner Mistakes. Candle making is creative, but it is also a process built on safety, testing, and consistency. In this course, I am going to walk you through the most common beginner mistakes and show you how to build a stronger foundation for making candles you can feel confident using, gifting, or selling. We are going to cover 6 areas that comprise the biggest mistakes and make the biggest difference in your candle making results. We will start with safety foundations, then move into wick testing, temperature science, fragrance chemistry, the pouring process, and finally patience, curing, and finishing habits. Avoiding candle mistakes in each of these areas will save you time, money, and frustration. If we haven't met before, I am Kimberly Patterson, and I teach candle makers how to turn plain vessels into works of art using sublimation and engraving. Mistakes around safety happen all the time, so let's talk about them. Before we worry about a pretty candle, a strong scent throw, or a smooth top, we need to make sure the candle is safe. The materials and decisions you make at the beginning protect you, your customers, your home, and your craft. Not all jars are created equal. It can be tempting to use thrifted jars, food jars, or decorative containers because they are inexpensive or beautiful. But unless a vessel is designed and rated for candle use, it may not handle sustained heat properly. Thermal stress can cause glass to crack or shatter during a burn. That is not just a cosmetic problem, it is a safety problem. Use purpose-built candle vessels whenever possible. Candle vessels are designed with heat resistance in mind and are made to handle repeated exposure to a flame and a melt pool. Choose containers specifically sold for candle making and avoid assuming that decorative glass, drinkware, or food jars are safe simply because they look sturdy. Another big mistake new candle makers make is putting items in the candle to make it look pretty. But in reality, if it is not wax, it is a huge fire risk. There are other ways to make candles stand out and beautiful. I use sublimation and engraving. Now here is another common mistake. Thinking that wick size does not matter, it does. A wick that is too large can create an oversized flame, excessive soot, overheating, and a vessel that becomes too hot during the burn. The goal is not the biggest flame or the fastest melt pool. The goal is a controlled, steady burn that is appropriate for your vessel, wax, fragrance, and wick system. For in-depth information on wick size, see my playlist titled Wicks. I go into each brand, what wax it is designed for, and how to size. Another big mistake is skipping wick testing or not doing it properly. Wick testing is one of the most important skills you will develop as a candle maker. It is where you learn whether your candle is actually burning safely and performing the way you intended. One size does not fit all when it comes to wicks. Every combination of wax, vessel, fragrance oil, fragrance load, color, and wick can behave differently. A wick that works beautifully in one candle may be completely wrong in another. Instead of guessing, treat every new combination as its own test. Wick testing is how you learn what your candle system truly needs. One burn tells you almost nothing. A candle can look perfect during its first burn and still become too hot, mushroom, soot, or tunnel later in its life. That is why you need multiple burn sessions. Test the candle 4 hours at a time until there is about a ½ inch of wax left at the bottom, and keep notes each time. Patterns become clear when you watch how the candle performs over time. Best practice is to test 3 wick sizes at once. If you don't find your winner, at least you have eliminated 3 possibilities. You will have data to wick up or down. During wick testing, there are a few important things to watch. Look at the melt pool. Watch whether it is progressing evenly without becoming excessively deep too quickly. Watch the flame height. You want a steady, controlled flame rather than one that is dancing wildly or getting too tall. Also watch for mushrooming. Heavy carbon buildup on the wick can be a sign that the wick is too large or that the candle system needs adjustment. Another big mistake candle makers make is ignoring temperature when adding, pouring, and curing. Temperature affects almost every part of candle making, including how your wax melts, how fragrance incorporates, how the candle pours, and how the finished candle looks and performs. Precision is what turns a repeatable process into reliable results. Now let's talk about this mistake. Overheating can destroy scent. When wax is heated beyond its recommended range, fragrance oils can begin to evaporate or lose performance before the candle is even poured. That is one reason a candle may smell wonderful while you are making it, but have a weak scent throw later. Always follow the recommended heating and fragrance addition temperatures for your specific wax. Think of temperature as a Goldilocks zone. For many soy wax systems, fragrance is often added within a specific temperature range where it can incorporate properly. Too cool, and the fragrance may not fully bind. Too hot, and you risk damaging scent performance or discoloring the wax. The exact temperatures depend on your wax, so your manufacturer's data sheet should always guide your process. Get a reliable digital thermometer. I also have success using a candy thermometer and an infrared thermometer. Guessing temperatures is not a strategy when you want consistent candles. A thermometer helps you repeat a process, troubleshoot problems, and understand what is working. Use it for every batch. Measure your wax temperature when heating, before adding fragrance, and before pouring. Another common mistake is overloading your fragrance. More fragrance does not automatically mean a stronger candle. Every wax has a maximum fragrance load it can hold safely and effectively. When you use too much fragrance, you may see sweating, pore adhesion, unstable burns, or oil separation. Stay within the limits recommended for your wax and test your candle before selling or gifting it. Use this to calculate the proper amount of fragrance oil. This sample is for an 8-ounce candle with an 8% fragrance load. Always stir for 2 minutes after adding your fragrance to your wax and before pouring into your candle vessel. Another common mistake is not testing the candle fragrance first, before wick testing. You might not even like the fragrance, and it can smell different heated than in the bottle. Scent blending is chemistry. A blend that smells amazing in the bottle may behave differently once it is mixed into wax and burned. I like to test my fragrances under a candle lamp first. If I don't like it, I don't proceed with testing. I just move on. This common mistake creates a lot of issues. It is the pouring process. How you pour and cool your candle has a major effect on the finished appearance and performance. Wet spots, cracks, sinkholes, frosting, and rough tops often begin with pouring or cooling conditions. Preheating jars can help support a more even cooling process. When a warm wax is poured into a very cold vessel, the wax can cool too quickly around the sides. That can contribute to wet spots, adhesion issues, and uneven surfaces. Use the temperatures recommended for your vessel and wax system. And keep your process consistent so you can understand the results you are getting. And this is often overlooked: the cooling environment. Candles should cool away from fans, air vents, open windows, and major temperature changes. Drafts can cause uneven cooling, which may lead to sinkholes, cracking, or rough surfaces. Many surface issues are not actually wax problems, they are cooling problems. Give your candles a stable place to set undisturbed. Never speed cool your candles in the refrigerator. It may feel like a shortcut, but rapid cooling can create structural issues and poor surface quality. It can also make it harder to understand how your candle behaves under normal conditions. Let your candles cool naturally at room temperature. Slower, controlled cooling usually gives you a better finished candle. The ideal room temperature is between 68 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, this is a huge mistake that beginners make. It has to do with patience and curing. This is the part many beginners struggle with because the candle looks finished long before it is actually ready. But curing is where fragrance and wax continue to settle into a stronger, more complete candle. Cure time is non-negotiable. A candle may be solid within a few hours, but that does not mean it has reached its best performance. Fragrance continues to bind with the wax after the candle has set. Many candles benefit from a minimum cure of 48 to 72 hours, and some wax systems perform even better after a full 2 weeks. This is always the case with soy wax. Follow the cure time recommendations provided by your wax brand. With patience in curing, it's still helpful to understand there is a difference between cold throw and hot throw. Cold throw is the fragrance you smell when the candle is unlit. Hot throw is the fragrance you experience when the candle is burning. Both can improve with proper curing. A candle that seems weak on day one may become much stronger after it has had time to cure. This mistake buyers and makers both make, but it is very important to trim your wick before every burn. A wick that is too long can create mushrooming, soot, unstable flames, and excess heat. Before lighting, trim the wick to about 1/4 inch. It is a simple habit, but it makes a major difference in how cleanly and safely a candle burns. I see this mistake a lot, an uncentered wick. Even a slight shift in the wick can cause the candle to burn unevenly, tunnel to one side, and waste wax. Use a wick bar, centering tool, or another reliable method to keep the wick straight and centered while the wax cools. A centered wick supports a more even burn from beginning to end. Now here's a big one. Use candle-grade fragrance oils only. Cosmetic oils, diffuser oils, and random fragrance oils are not automatically appropriate for candle making. They may have different properties, different flash points, and different performance in wax. If you need additional information on which essential oils are safe, I have an in-depth video on this subject. Choose fragrance oils specifically formulated and tested for candle use, and always review the supplier's safety and usage information. This mistake is made by many new candle makers. What is it? They don't read the manufacturer's data sheet. Every wax is different. Melt temperatures, fragrance loads, pour temperatures, cure times, and recommended wick types can vary widely from one wax to another. Treat the manufacturer's guidance as your operating manual. It gives you the best place to begin before you start testing and refining your own process. Now, you are making a big mistake if you don't document everything. This is what you document. Track your batch date, wax, vessel, wick, fragrance oil, fragrance load, mixing temperature, pour temperature, cure time, and burn test results. Without notes, you cannot reliably repeat a great result or troubleshoot a disappointing one. Documentation is what turns trial and error into real progress. Now let's quickly review the artisan's checklist. Use vessels made for candles only. Test your wick over multiple burn sessions. Follow the temperature guidance for your wax. Stay within your recommended fragrance load. Pour in a controlled environment and let candles cool slowly. Then give your candles enough time to cure before you judge their scent throw or burn performance. Start your first batch today. Choose one wax, one vessel, one wick, and one fragrance. Keep it simple. Pour it carefully, let it cure, test it thoroughly, and document what happens. That first thoughtful batch is the beginning of your craft and the start of your journey from hobbyist to artisan. If you're serious about candle making, start thinking like a candle artist. If you want to go deeper into candle design, sublimation, engraving, and creating candles that truly stand out, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you're interested in getting my book on sublimation and engraving at cost, the link is in the description. Buyers of my book can explore a free trial that includes one-on-one coaching, a physical monthly newsletter delivered to your front door, and my private school community. And if you'd rather buy my candles instead of making them yourself, I've added a link to my Etsy shop below. See you next time on The Candle Artist Way.